If you're trying to grow an online business as a solopreneur, trying to grow a micro business, or even a one-person business, it's never been as important as today to keep yourself fit and healthy with the correct nutrition, the correct sleep, and the correct exercise. By optimizing all of these things, it will help you increase the productivity and the output and overall success of your online business. So today I chat to a nutritional specialist, Claudia le Feuvre, who basically runs an online business teaching people about nutrition and has also built an online physical products business selling products to actually help improve your nutrition and your health. It's a conversation I've been wanting to have for quite a while with Claudia to come on and give us some nutritional advice from the way she sees things. So make sure to watch all the way to the end, take notes as Claudia drops nuggets of gold on how to maximize your nutrition and increase the output of your productivity and your online business. Okay, so welcome Claudia. Thank you very much for joining me on the call today. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm calling in from
No problem.
Hammersmith in London this evening.
Okay, so I am currently in Canada, so there's a 7 hour time difference. So yeah, thanks
Mhm.
for remaining flexible and coming on the call. Yeah, really conscious of your time. So I've been wanting to speak to you for a while because I know that your message is really, really important, especially for online business owners, individuals in general. So yeah, the aim of this call really is to help people, anyone watching this call who is either thinking about starting their own thing, may it be online or brick and mortar, or have started typically an online business, and they want to share best practice. So yeah, briefly, just tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are, who you serve, what is your like, what is your background, and how you sort of got onto the online space.
Okay, so I'm a nutritional therapist with 17 years clinical experience. I lecture at the British College of Nutrition and the Nutritional Healing Foundation, and I also teach all the nutrition at Goldster, which is an online platform. And as well as that, I also run my own products business. So what you've just said has really resonated because I totally understand the importance of avoiding burnout when you're starting your new business, when you're even when
Absolutely.
you're 3, 4 years into it.
Yeah.
If you're the oxygen for the business, you've got to keep your vitality up. You've got to keep your strength and well-being going.
Yeah. And this is why I really wanted to chat to you. Like I'm really interested in your business model and everything, but I'm also interested in your message because I come from a bit of a fitness background, so I'm quite keen on nutrition and health and sleep now, even more so. Um, but yeah, it's I guess this is the time, sort start of the new year. People have got new resolutions, and especially those people who want to avoid burnout, because I've witnessed it before. Um,
Mm.
Building an online business, if that's what you're doing, is probably like nothing else you've done before. And if you're not seeing the results, a lot of people try and bring, or maybe bring, like that employee mindset, whereas you just work harder and things will get easier. It's not necessarily the case when things aren't going right in an online business. So yeah, first of all, let's talk about your physical products business. So these are products to obviously help people with their nutrition. So tell me a bit about, excellent. What have you
That's
got there?
that's right. So these are actually CBD based skin balms I've got and tinctures. It's been a bit of a journey. I've been working on it probably for about 3 years, and I've got to the point now where I sell them on QVC, on the
Oh,
live shopping
wow.
channel. So that,
Amazing.
but I empathize, and I totally get it. It's hard, and there are challenges, and it can be very emotionally draining. So it's important to keep our like I said, keep our health and vitality going. But yeah, this is Mighty Green. Mighty Green is my company.
Mighty Green. Yeah, I'll link all these up to the notes for this call. But yeah, just tell us briefly, like a bit of your background, how you got into building your own business. Was this like a solution to a problem that you saw? Was it something you've always wanted to do, or did you just fall into it? How did that happen?
It was a combination of factors. So I was living and working in Gibraltar, and
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a blessing. I basically I had a message from this man, Mike Balfour, OBE, who said he wanted to have a meeting. And
Wow.
I got to the meeting and he said, Claudia, I've heard about you. And what's your best? I've always been into fitness. He created Fitness First gyms
Oh,
around the
wow.
world. And he said, give me your best idea and let's do something together in the world of nutrition. And at the time, I'd been working in my clinic and I was working at the private medical clinic. And that week, I'd seen two clients with fibromyalgia, which can be a really difficult condition to manage. It's pain management. And they'd both come bouncing in that week completely independently of each other. I was like, wow, what's made the difference? And they were like, oh, Claudia, we tried that CB stuff. And I was like, I have got to learn more about this. So that got me started.
Wow, that's brilliant. And so that was the road to building your physical products business?
Building the physical products business. So,
Yeah.
for example, we work with dermatologists, we work with medical doctors, we work with pharmacists. So this balm, for example, is magnesium combined with CBD. We've got another balm which is CBG combined with arnica and CBD. They're very unique formulations. It's not just a case of grab a balm and slap some CBD in it. They really
Yeah.
genuinely work and make a difference to people's lives. So that's what it's all about, isn't it? Trying to reach more people and help more people. And I was just finding like building my business one client at a time was actually very emotionally draining and very
Yeah.
exhausting. So I thought, how can I get one to many? And that led me into a lot of teaching. So I do a lot of teaching and lecturing, and I love that. I love that. And then the
Okay.
products are
Brilliant.
just an extension of trying to work with more people.
Yeah. It fits nicely into your brand. That's great. So you're full time lecturing and teaching as well as building the online business?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of main problems do you solve when people come to you with the health issues there? Um, what sort of things can you help them with, and can you help them get better?
A whole range, Tim. It's how, anything from head to toe, basically, but
Wow.
often weight management, often hormonal challenges, often gut issues, IBS, muscular issues, fibromyalgia, reversing type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular health. I'm doing a lot at the moment. It's a real passion of mine is actually becoming a younger you, reversing our biological age.
Love it.
So.
That's cool. I see a lot of people preaching different messages online, and to some people it could be a bit confusing. You hear all of the people promoting a plant-based diet, some people promoting like animal proteins. Like, is there a common factor, common denominator, or is there any sort of one right way? What's your take on all these different types of diets that we?
Okay, here's my take, Tim. The world of nutrition is the Wild West. It's cowboys and Indians shooting each other down, creating total customer confusion.
Yeah,
One day it's, eat more coconut oil. The next day it's, no, don't. It's just, and then people switch off, become totally disillusioned, and don't do anything.
yeah,
So it really is about the ethics of the person, what their beliefs are, what's best for their condition and their bodies, what their deficiencies are, how their gut health is. So there just simply isn't a one size fits all.
yeah,
I must say, I am slightly skeptical of some of the amazing biohacks that are out there, just because they're mainly tested on men,
yeah,
for the reason that women have, you know, more complicated hormones, and so that makes studies harder because there are far more variables with the hormones there. So this is where I'm quite cautious.
yeah. And yeah, you sort of coined that pretty well. It's like the Wild West, and I think a lot of people are getting confused. Um, so I guess, do you come from a more of a holistic approach, looking at your lifestyle, sleep, what you eat, how you exercise? Do you sort of encompass that in your sort of recommendations to people when they come to
I,
you?
I do, but I've also developed a passion for eating psychology. and our mindset around food. And actually, I don't think I mentioned it at the beginning, but I am also an eating psychology coach, and I studied at the University of Colorado,
Oh,
at
wow.
the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, because I just feel so many people have a very disordered relationship with food, and going bouncing from one diet or way of eating to another can sometimes be quite unhelpful. So it's about
Yeah.
making peace with food and really tuning in, understanding what's actually best for our bodies, and serving
Yeah.
ourselves. Just as the way we're wanting to serve all our customers, but actually serving ourselves as well.
Yeah. So, what would your overall advice be for people who are either wanting to lose a bit of weight, wanting to get a bit more energy, feel healthier, feel good about themselves? What would you advise looking at first, or is there a sort of formula that you have?
Yes. So you're asking for a system, aren't you?
Well, anything. I mean, whatever you have. I mean,
Ah,
all
right.
about
Okay.
systems, anything that helps you save stress, time,
Yes.
energy, and money. But yeah,
E- Exactly. So let's look into a system. So first of all, it's working out what approach are you going to take. So I don't I call myself a flexitarian. So I love to
nice.
eat fish. I love plant-based food. I also eat healthy meat as much as I can. Like in as much as it's either free range or organic. When possible, I'll buy organic chicken carcasses. I'll make chicken soup. So it's not that we're having a lot of meat, but it is part of my personal diet. That said, I'm very, very happy to work with vegans, and we'll do it in a way that addresses all their nutrients. But in terms of once you've decided what your approach would be, actually planning what you're going to eat can take a whole heap of stress away from nutrition, because what so often happens, we're working long days, are we not, Tim? Long days at the laptop, and then we get
Some
we
days.
get home. Some days, oh yeah, when you're not on the slopes. And we get home, we get into the kitchen, we think, oh, what are we going to do for dinner? What's on the menu tonight? And you open up your fridge, and truly there's a huge element of decision fatigue that can kick in,
Yeah.
because actually by the time you've got to the end of the day, you're just tired, and you don't necessarily have the mental bandwidth to focus on what am I eating next. So this is where I really recommend planning in advance, and maybe setting some time aside, maybe at the weekend or one evening. And the first thing that we want to do is to create what what I call our definitive list. So write down all the meals that work for you and whoever you're cooking for, whether it's a family, whether it's a partner, whether you're on your own. Just write down the meals that you enjoy that work for you, and group them into fish, chicken, plant-based, etc., and red meat. And as you populate them, you'll realize, you might start to realize, oh gosh, we don't have many fish dishes here, or oh, it's a bit heavy on the red meat. And you can start to see your balance of actually what you've got there. Now, it's really, really worth putting this list together, because when you come to plan your food for the week, otherwise, every Sunday you could be racking your brains thinking, hang on, what am I going to eat this week? Whereas if you've already got a list of all the meals that pretty much are a hit in your home, then that's a good idea. And then I'd also have another list. So you could almost have these on the fridge, the definitive list and the experiential list, which is things that you've seen on TikTok, things that maybe in the Independent on Sunday, I don't know, whatever you read, The Guardian,
Yeah.
Ottolenghi's latest recipe, put that on the list and commit to once a week trying a new recipe. And then you create your meal plan. So Monday to Sunday, your evening meals. And you can populate them from these two lists. And then when your new recipe has been a big hit and everyone's enjoyed it, you put it on the definitive list. Because otherwise, don't you find we instantly forget about it?
Yeah.
We forget we made it, we forget how delicious it was, and it's just sort of dropped off the radar. So this can work as actually quite an effective system to save you stress, time,
Yeah.
energy and the whole thing. If you're one of those people who don't actually like meal plans or like being told, right, it's Tuesday and today you're having, I don't know, salmon with walnuts on top and a sweet potato and some green veg, but you don't actually like that didacticness of it. And I have to admit, I'm sometimes like that myself. I just like to have options. So I know on a Sunday I'm going to be preparing a tray of roasted veg. So I can have that with my lunches. I've got eggs. I could throw together a quick omelette. I've made a pesto with, I don't know, walnuts and rocket and garlic. So that would go great on any white fish or chicken. Do you see what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm just giving myself options for the week because sometimes I don't like always being told things. And I don't know about how your viewers feel about that.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and I think planning is huge in a lot of things we do in life, right? So I think planning
Mm,
would take the stress out of that. I remember talking to my brother one year, and he was doing veganuary. He was just trying
mm.
this vegan. I think his wife was doing it, so he didn't plan any of it. So I think one day he got home from work, opened the fridge, and all he could have was an apple. So he was like, "This is rubbish," but it's planning, right? If he'd
It is
planned for it,
fun.
then he could plan a lot of healthy meals for himself. Yeah,
Mm. And it likewise, if you are planning to go vegan for longer than a month, I would also recommend some blood tests just to make sure your iron, your B12 are all good before you start, because to start with a deficiency would then be really
yeah.
hard.
This is what I was going to ask you as well. You hear a lot of messages online about getting the right amount of protein in your diet. Can you, in your honest opinion, do you think you can get all of your nutrients, your proteins from a plant-based diet only, or do you think that there's maybe some elements of supplementation you need to do? And for what time period? You just said for like a month and monitoring your bloods. That's a great idea. I do that on an annual basis, monitoring my bloods. But yeah, what would your recommendations be for that?
So, I mean, there are lots of incredibly healthy vegans who have no iron deficiency at all. They've been through pregnancies, again, no iron deficiency. And there can be someone else who's low in iron to start with, and the deficiency just gets worse and worse. So this is really, really an individual thing. If you're doing this for an ethical reasons, there's no reason why you can't get vegan omega oils, vegan B12, iron, of course. It's just that the iron is non-heme iron as a vegan sources, whereas heme iron from, for example, the red meat is far easier for the body to assimilate. So the iron can sometimes be challenging, and that's why I ask people to buy, it's called the lucky fish, and it's an iron fish, literally an iron fish that you put into your casseroles, you put into your cooking, and then any kind of like tomato-based sauce, the acidity from the tomatoes will leach the iron into the food. Or you can go and spend a lot more money on a beautiful Le Creuset, iron casserole dish.
Oh wow, I never really thought of that. You can actually, yeah, get the iron from a physical piece of iron in your cooking. Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
put it on your on the wedding list.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all fascinating stuff. Talk to me a little bit now about the online business that you've created. What sort of challenges you found as a startup? I'm assuming you got approached by someone and you started to build an online business. Did you find that you really had to really had to look after your health and your well-being? What sort of challenges did you face building an online business? Because I hear a lot from people.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, I had no idea how much harder it would be to build a CBD business. Even things like
Right.
getting payment gateways sorted. We're
Okay.
really blocked on advertising with Facebook and
Okay.
Instagram, and you can't use Shopify. There's just still so much almost discrimination. So, yeah,
Wow.
I'm not if I was to start again, I don't I'm not sure. But maybe I'd go start on a different track and then move into what I'm currently doing. Yeah, so we've faced all sorts of challenges. But really, in terms of preventing burnout. It's really about looking after our adrenal glands. And our adrenals are these tiny little glands that sit on top of our kidneys. And I like to think of them like a bank account. So we're putting deposits in. That's when, like Tim, you said you're really enjoying sleep at the moment and prioritizing sleep. That is one of the single best things you can do to top up your adrenal glands. There's all sorts of things, yoga, meditation. I'm sure skiing down the slopes, when you get those endorphins, anything that brings you joy, brings you happiness, brings you peace. Nourishing food, of course, as well. Anything rich in vitamin C, B6, all the lovely dark green leafy veg are brilliant for topping us up. On the other hand, we have the withdrawals, the deposits that are being taken out constantly by just over giving. And the thing is, when we're starting a business, we're often not getting much back. We're not getting many customers back at the beginning. We're not paying ourselves properly, all the rest of it. And it can just feel like we're giving without getting enough back. And when that happens, the blood sugar can go a little bit, where maybe we're not nourishing our bodies, maybe we're not spending enough, we're eating on the run, we're not prioritizing again, sitting down, having a lovely meal. And that, of course, takes its toll with the blood sugar, which totally stresses out the adrenals. It's a huge burden. We're reaching for the caffeine because we're not getting enough sleep, and we're just feeling exhausted but wired at the same time. So we can't properly sleep. And it's like you wake up and you're feeling tired and you don't really get going until you've had a coffee, and then you have lunch, and then you have an afternoon slump. And then this is an adrenally challenged person, a day of an adrenally challenged person. And then, so you have your afternoon slump. And then funnily enough, at about 6 o'clock in the evening, you starting to feel a bit better now. And then it gets through to the evening. Yeah, I could keep going. This is a second wind. And the thing is with the adrenals, you really, really do need to sleep. But when you power on through, you get this second wind. And so then of course you can't sleep. If you were to try, you'd be like lying in bed with your eyes wide open. And so it goes on. So this is what we want to do with the nutrition. We want to calm the adrenals down.
Yeah. A lot of that sounds so familiar as you were talking there. It's like, yeah, been done. Yeah. And especially if you're a solopreneur, or if you've got a very small team and it's your interest about building this online business, you tend to think about it all the time. Like, say, lying in bed, thinking about, I've got to do this thing, or maybe I should have done that. And there's so many moving parts. And I like to tell people that there's so much you could do in online business. Doesn't mean say there's so much you should be doing. I think sort of really ring fencing your time when you're on screens, the times that you work, the times that you're online as opposed to offline, to really look after yourself. I think Brendan Bouchard is a big voice in this online space, and everyone's saying, how are you so prolific? Because he is always output, but he ring fences his downtime. He does the output, and then he, like you say, meditates, he sleeps, he really makes sure that he rests, gets enough nutrition, gets enough sleep. So it's that whole holistic approach rather than just sort of one thing at a time.
Definitely. And look, we all have an overdraft limit with the adrenals. So we can all push ourselves that little bit extra. But it's like a scale here. And right on the edge, this is burnout, this is mental exhaustion, chronic fatigue, whatever you want to call it. This is where if your life depended on running to catch that bus, you wouldn't be able to. But a lot of us are here.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that I've put in place for myself that have really, really made a difference. So I take a greens shake every morning at 11 o'clock. And truly, I feel the benefits from that. That really spurs me on. I feel the energy from it. So it's finding your thing, isn't it? I don't drink caffeine. If I'm going to have a coffee, it's a decaf coffee.
Wow.
Just because I'm sensitive to it, and I got into that at the beginning. I was drinking too much strong green tea, too much the odd caffeinated drink, and it didn't suit me. I didn't feel well with it.
Yeah.
So, and then
Yeah,
of
I mean, I
course,
was. Go ahead. Go on.
no, and then of course, so for me, my system in the morning is I wake up and I take my collagen. Have my collagen on an empty stomach. My marine collagen is absolutely brilliant for hair, skin, and nails. Then an hour later, I have my porridge with all my flax, ground flax, my nuts, my seeds, my blueberries, my fruit, with oat milk. And I have this because this puts glycogen into my muscles. It is very grounding. I feel good for it. Oats aren't necessarily the best start for everyone. Some people, if they've got blood sugar issues, they might do better with eggs. So it's not for everyone, but it works for me. And then at 11, I have my green shake. And then whenever I get to lunch, it might be 1:30. I'll I don't know. I'm working from home quite a lot, or I'm out in. I'll grab. There's so many options in London. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. And then I'll cook a proper dinner.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I was about to ask you about your sort of daily routine. Um, there's so many questions going through my head right now. I'm really conscious of your time. Like, let me ask a few about like fasting. What would you say? What's your take on fasting? And I hear a lot of people saying that don't start your breakfast till midday. Like, extend the fasting window so you get more benefit. What's your take on intermittent fasting?
Well, when you look at the research and you look at countries like the Netherlands, it's really, really interesting because they tend, as a nation, they tend to have dinner really early at about 5 or 6 in the evening, and then they don't have breakfast till about 7 or 8 in the morning, and they do really well. It's really good for our livers and for our digestive system to properly rest. So, but in my professional opinion, it doesn't necessarily need to be more than 14 hours. And if it stops someone snacking through Netflix in the evening, that's a really good thing. Um, if someone's doing intermittent fasting to lose weight, you're probably better off doing the fasting towards the end of the day rather than at the beginning of the day, because otherwise you're redistributing all your calories round to later when you've got less chance of burning them off. There's as well, studies show that intermittent fasting can be very helpful for perimenopausal women, less helpful for postmenopausal women. So this is again where the genetics and male female divides are huge, are
Yeah.
huge. So I think there hasn't been enough research done on whether it's helpful for women. I've had some clients where we've worked really hard to rebuild their nutrient status. I'm thinking of one client in particular. She was low in iodine, low in vitamin D, low in B12, low in iron. We got her levels all back up, and then guess what? She went and did fasting, and all her levels came back down. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't. Obviously, I wasn't like that. Inside, I was like that. I was like,
Very positive. Yeah. So yeah, that leads me to my next question. This is all fascinating because it's not a one size fits all.
no.
It's like online business. There is no one right way, correct way to build an online business. It's whatever works for you. It's so individualistic. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing the sort of same themes coming with diet, nutrition. How do you track? I mean, I've got one of these things. It's an Aura ring. I've been using it for about 18 months now, just to track my sleep because I was really interested in sleep. Something I haven't focused on much in the past, but it's really helpful to help me see how my sleep was. If I wake up and I'm a little bit tired, I check the stats. It tells you how much deep sleep, how much REM you've had, and how your heart rate's been and everything. And it asks you what you had before you go to bed, caffeine, alcohol, what times you've eaten. Um, so how do you track, or do you subscribe to these tracking apps, or do you just take bloods and just go straight to the root cause?
Well, for testing, I do bloods, but I I'm trying to move many of my clients away from that sort of left side, left brain thinking and, calorie counting, weighing
Yeah,
food, all these numbers, 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 weighing themselves constantly. I'm trying to move them more towards a more relaxed relationship with food, with their food and with their bodies, and moving them more into embodiment and self-love and sometimes stepping on the scales and getting that number for the day can be a total torturous act of self-punishment. So it really, really depends on the client. And I do see a lot of men, Tim, who come to me with all their stats and, put onto graphs, put onto Excel, and that is wonderful. And if I know that that's how you work and that's what works for you, brilliant, and we'll totally get on side with it. But I'm not necessarily someone who's not into that. I'm not necessarily going to push them into it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Yeah. Let's talk about your online business, your products. If someone wanted to find out a little bit more about your brand, where would they go?
Oh, thank you so much. So it's mightygreen.co.uk. Mighty Green.
Mighty Green.
And I also
go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, and I also do, of course, do online nutrition consultations, and I also run group programs. So last year, I think I ran 4 group programs on Facebook in aid of Wellbeing of Women charity, and actually we raised thousands of pounds, and we were in the top 15% of charity givers on justgiving.com. And so this was running 10-day health boosts that were I just did in a closed Facebook group, and it was really fun. And it was just basically 10 days of no wheat, no alcohol, no dairy, very little, no sugar, very little caffeine, and it's amazing just what 10 days can do, actually.
Wow, they're the big 5, aren't they? The alcohol, the caffeine, the wheat, the dairy, and the sugar. Yeah, and everything seems to have one of those in it. It's quite hard to not have that for a long period of time.
But in terms of, like you were saying, if what approach should we go? That's really, wheat is not incredibly nutritious. We can get lots of fiber and nutrients from other sources, and we can all do with cutting down the sugar, but not in such a restrictive mentality that we become like elastic bands where someone's likely to snap back. We just want to, just choose healthier alternatives. Have dates and prunes instead of, a Mars bar.
Yeah. So if someone was interested in these programs, how would they go through to your website?
If they follow, I'll always talk about things like that on my Instagram at Claudia le Feuvre.
Perfect. Yeah. I'll link that up as well.
Thanks.
So any very conscious of time, any lasting sort of advice to give to anyone who's looking at starting a business, or maybe not in the CBD world, or any online business?
Come and join. There's more ethical fellow competitors. That's the best thing for the industry, isn't it? Best of luck, and nourish yourselves. Nourish yourselves to give your body the fuel that your business needs.
I love that. Yeah, it's all about building a business that fuels your lifestyle, but then building a lifestyle that fuels your business as well. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Claudia, for today. It's great chatting to you. We have met on a few live events. I hope to meet again in another live capacity in 3D and real people rather than just over the internet. But thank you very much for your time. Yeah, I'll link all that up in the notes to this call. So
Great chatting. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much. Speak soon. Thank you.
So that's it. Hopefully you found value in this interview with Claudia. Hopefully you've taken away some nuggets of gold, how she puts it across. And it's got you to think about what you're doing to increase your nutrition, your health, your sleep, your exercise, and even your output for yourself and your online business. But if you're still thinking where to start in all of this, I've put together a free workshop. You can head to timpeakman.com/workshop, where I break down how I've built this entire online business and how to start to earn your first $1,000 of online revenue. It's a super simple workshop, absolutely free, and it's on demand. You can sign up, get access today, and start taking action. That link once more, timpeakman.com/workshop. And I look forward to seeing you again on another video soon.